Hi everybody. Today I just want to talk to you about what I call the secret code to a six-figure income. Because for a long time I wondered exactly what kept me from joining those elite people who earned enough money online to say, hey, I've made it. Because even though I quit my job and moved from the UK to the south of France because of my online success, I still didn't earn anywhere near what those guys did. And it puzzled me. It made me think, where am I stuck and why am I stuck? Because for a long time I seemed to be somewhere in the middle, and this made me want to sort of investigate more. And I thought I'd share with you today over two videos I've done, or two presentations, because I thought it goes on a bit too long otherwise, just like some of my other videos. That the results of what I found, because I think they're extremely important to all of us. How did they move from that stage where they are now? Now I'm talking about the six and seven figure income earners here, and there's plenty of them about. And in fact, these days I know quite a few of them. Excuse me. So this is what I did. I started taking part in discussion groups and joining webinars. A lot of my information came from within the mastermind group run by Brad Goss, and I'm still in that group today. I get to rub shoulders with some really big players in there, and I've learned a lot from it. Webinars are big business these days. They are perfect platforms to pitch products to a targeted audience. Many of the top entrepreneurs that I know take part in these webinars, and most webinars, although free to join, will have a pitch of some sort at the end. But in order to make sales, they often give away huge amounts of valuable information, and of course they have to. But it was not that information that I was really after. It was what they were doing that was different from my business model, and perhaps it's different from yours too. This is what I wanted and needed to find out. It took me literally months of research, and eventually I uncovered what I call a secret code to success. Now, I call it a secret code to success because even though it's right in front of you, it's rarely talked about. What I discovered was this: the 6 phases of internet marketing. And it's very important that you recognize where you are on this scale. It was important for me to recognize where I was on it. And I think you're going to really get benefit from this. Phase 1 is checking out different ideas, mildly interested in perhaps working from home. You've kind of heard that somebody makes some money online and you're wondering if it's possible, and you've just looked at a few different schemes. A lot of people get caught up in sort of multi-level marketing at this sort of end of things as well. But you are a complete newbie and you're just kind of investigating. Phase 1 is something that everybody must go through at some point. Phase 2 is you've actually bought something. You've taken a product, had a look at it, but not committed enough to follow through. You've maybe dabbled with it a little bit. You've still got many self-doubts, whether it can work. Are people right when they say, oh, there's no money to be made, blah, blah, blah. Information overload starts to rear its head a little bit at this stage. It can do, because you may have tried this product and thought, I'm not sure what to do here, or do I go any further? And there is a reason for that where you probably haven't gone further, and I'll talk about that very soon. And then, of course, you sometimes look at another product, and this is where the information overload can start to begin to rear its head. Phase 3 is, well, here you have information load is now right in there with you, constantly chasing the magic button. The victim of information loaded from phase 2, you are now following it through. You tend to look for the quick fix methods to make money, and this is where you can fall for make money overnight scams. This is the place where you may end up on places like the Warrior Forum and ClickBank, and you'll see some sales pages that are overhyped. They promise you the earth by next weekend, and you fall for it because you think there may be some truth in it, because now you're beginning to get a little bit more desperate. You start to think, well, what I do is not right, so that didn't work for me, but maybe the next thing will. The next shiny object will be the thing that gets me to where I want to be. And probably you don't even know really where you want to be. That's another problem. Business in a box. I really do hate, you'll hear me say this quite a lot, I really do hate business in a box. But in phase 3, that's where you're likely to try it. Business in a box doesn't work. I'll only briefly say this doesn't work because everybody else is getting the same business in the box. If it, that has to make sense to you somewhere on the line, that if you and 1,000 other people are all doing the same thing exactly the same way, with exactly the same sales copy, with exactly the same website, with all the things in it duplicated time and time again, it stands to reason that you're just throwing yourself into a problem area. Business in a box do not work. Please ignore them. Phase 4, now this is if you get to phase 4, because many people are stuck in phase 3 and never go past it at all. But if you can get to phase 4, you're now beginning to realize that there probably isn't a magic button. There probably isn't something that I can just will transform my life, in 30 minutes a day. You start to take some action, and perhaps you do see some success. A long way from making a full-time income, but at least you're kind of understanding now that working like this way can be achievable. And it's a good place to be, phase 4. But phase 3 and 4 are places that people often don't ever get past. But I was in phase 4 when I first started thinking, how do I get to that next stage? At least at that point I was recognizing that there were stages. Phase 5 is where you are now rinsing and repeating many of your more successful systems. At this stage, you may find yourself quitting your regular job. I actually quit my job in phase 4, but I kind of just made the commitment. I knew that I could do it, and so therefore, and I was prepared to accept failures, but I knew there would be a way through, and phase 4 proved to me that yes, you can make money. And to me, if you can make $1, you can make 10. If you can make 10, you can make 100. If you can make 100, you can make 1,000, and so on. It's just a case of rinsing and repeating systems, or building on them, or building on platforms. Proven plans. So many people quit their jobs in phase 5 because now they are actually seeing a really good income coming in. At this stage, and this is a really good, if you get to this stage, you're full-time, and you've kind of made it. But there is still one more stage, and it of course is phase 6, which is where you've got that complete financial freedom. Because even in phase 5, if something goes down, if one part of your business doesn't work anymore, and the internet is constantly changing and evolving. We've all heard of all these panda updates and penguin updates. I dare say that we'll go through more of the zoo, in later months to come. But all these changes, and even the way things, how you put sales copy together, all changes. So you've got to keep ahead of it. If you put all your eggs in one basket, as we used to say in the UK, and people still say that in the UK, you can, if you drop the basket, you break all the eggs, and this can happen. So in phase 5, you are still vulnerable. You're still vulnerable to changes. It happened to me. I was running PLR3.com, had a quite a successful business there, and we had to break PLR3 up because it wasn't just run by me; it was run by 3 of us, and we had commitments that we had to, do other things, and I didn't realise how much of my income was coming through there, and I was suddenly dropping back from phase 5 to phase 4. And it was quite frightening, because you thought, whoa, I should have been building platforms either side of this, so that not all of my income, or 80% of my income, was coming from this one model. So there are lessons to be learned that way as well. So phase 5 can still be quite a scary place to be, although you would in all terms believe yourself to have made it. Phase 6, well, they do things differently on phase 6 and from everybody else, and this is where really, although I still know somebody that has actually gone from phase 6 all the way back to, well, they've not mentally gone back to phase 1, but business wise and financially wise took a big tumble. It's very rare because you have various platforms, and you're probably outsourcing a lot of your business, and you're probably just working on new ideas and getting teams of resource staff to work on them. It's much harder to fail when you've got several businesses being run by several people. But I hope you get the idea that I've spotted these. You may spot more, It'd be interesting to hear your points of view on that, actually. And as I said previously, to be honest, most people are stuck in phases 3 and 4, but any of them can be difficult to move on from if you do not have the required knowledge or mindset. The sad fact is that 95% of people fail to get out of the middle phases. That means, my friend, that 95% of people fail to make a successful living online, and that is shocking. That is really a frightening statistic, but it's true. Don't be in that 95%. If that's you, then it may well not be your fault. Now, I say that because there are so many guru traps out there. These are the overhyped products that drip feed you information that leads back to a new and revamped version of the same thing you bought originally. That happens all the time. You buy into a product and they revamp it in a year's time, telling you it's new, it's updated, and if you haven't ever got out of phase 3 or 4, then you can easily fall for the fact that you think, well, they showed me a bit of success, so maybe this new version is the bit I need, and bang, you're back in the same circle again. And it's in these people's interest to keep you there. You end up in a hungry fish caught in a rock pool. They can keep you catching you and throwing you right back in as many times as they want. And that's how they keep their business going. That ends today. Well, I wanted to end today for you. And if you're sort of absorbing this and taking note of this, and I think it can, ask yourself this question: why am I not financially secure today from my online activities? I have to ask myself this. This is what I'm showing you today is what I set up for myself. The newbie platform is all about this. It's all about doing what we've already done. And I asked myself that, and I got the pen and paper, and I wrote these things down, and I went through everything to see exactly where my mindset was. And quite shockingly, I wasn't exactly in the right place. So do take some time out, get some paper and pen, write down the reasons that you're not where you want to be. Which phase do you think you're stuck in? Once you've answered these things honestly to yourself, or at least puts down some obvious reasons, you will have a far better understanding where you are in your own online journey. This puts you in a more powerful position straight away, and in a far more powerful position as well. The fact that you understand, because now you're not just traveling along a road with no map. You're beginning to understand where you are in the whole online journey that you're taking. And then that's part of the key of success, is to know where you are on your own map, and actually where you want your map to lead to, or your road to lead to. Now, are these any of your answers? Let's just go through these gradually. Lack of time. Well, I know many successful entrepreneurs that started off with family commitments, and most people do have that, really. Mortgage payments and work time, workload, and just didn't have much time. They had just like a couple of hours in an evening, and that was their television time. Well, cut the television out, make the time. Lack of time is not a real excuse. You can find time. Anywhere you can find time. English is not my first language. Well, I understand that can be a barrier, but you don't need to have all your content written by you. You can get through the content stages of things. And there are very many successful entrepreneurs who do not speak English as their first language. Of course, it helps, but it's not so important. You get people you can outsource certain areas, and it's something that can easily be overcome. Lack of knowledge, well, we all start off with that, and that's not really a bad thing because it gives you a clean sheet to work on. So lack of knowledge is no excuse. Lack of money, well, I'll be honest with you right here now, it comes from scarcity, lack of money, and I myself used that as an excuse many times in the beginning. I would look at something, I would look at a course, and I would say, well, I would love to do that, but I can't afford to. And so many people use that, and it's just an excuse. Because if you really need something, and you really want something, and you know that it's going to benefit you, you will find that money from somewhere. You will sell something, you will do something, you'll cut back on something, but you'll get the money somewhere on the line. You will get it because it's important to you. Lack of money is just an excuse, and it is born from scarcity, of not wanting to lose what you already have. I suffered from it, and it is a deliberate. It can hold you back along. All of these maybe answers are all things that can hold you back. And lack of money is one I did suffer from for a while. I don't have the confidence. Well, confidence is bred because of little mini successes, and if you don't start the ball rolling, you don't get those mini successes. Confidence is something that you can breed in yourself. I can't use PayPal. There are countries, I know for a fact that in Nigeria, the PayPal is not operating there. But there are other platforms, and PayPal is not the only way. In fact, I foresee that PayPal won't be the most dominant force in a couple of years' time anyway. So there are other payment platforms. I'm a newbie. Well, I don't like the word newbie, even though I use it all the time, because we're all newbies in certain places. You go into a new niche and maybe you're a newbie in that, but being a newbie is just the same as not having the knowledge, and that's great because you've got a whole brand new clean sheet of paper to work on. I don't think we're all newbies at some point anyway. I do not have the resources. Well, let me tell you now that you don't need any. Resources are there simply to just help us in our business. They can enhance our business, but resources aren't the necessary thing. You can make money online starting right from now with very, very little resources, just a few things. And outside of that, everything else can enhance your business and you can get them later. Things have gone wrong for me in the past. Well, boo-hoo, haven't they gone wrong for everybody? Some point in your life, everything will go wrong. Something will have gone wrong somewhere in the past. It's the same with online stuff. I've had more failures than that I'd care to stand here and sit here and tell you about. But does that stop me? No, it doesn't, and it shouldn't stop you either. In fact, because things have gone wrong in the past, it's a benefit because you can learn from them. Now, it's only a fool that doesn't learn from their mistakes. If you keep repeating what you've done, and you'll expect the same results. But if you do something, you go down one road and it doesn't work for you, and then you understand why it doesn't work, that's made you a more powerful person. That is not failure at all. That is a road to success. That's a stepping stone to success. So things have gone wrong for you in the past, well, they have for all of us. And if they haven't gone wrong, you probably haven't learned as much as I have. I'm not good at anything. Well, that's just not true, because everybody is good at something. Everybody is good at something. For instance, if you start saying I'm not good at anything, you're actually saying to yourself, well, I'm not good at the things that count. That's what you're sort of putting into your psyche. Well, there's always ways around those things. I mean, for instance, I'm really not a techie person at all. I mean, I'm sure, as Jason, my JV partner in this, I'm sure he probably has a chuckle to himself sometimes how little techie knowledge I have. But that's not the point. I'm good at other things, and we're all good at things, and you get better at things if you want to learn them. So that's never a real excuse. I don't really know where to start. Well, in fact, I've just missed one out there. I suffer from information overload. Well, we've talked about that already, and it is a big hindrance, and most people do have to go through it. Many people don't ever get through it. They just carry on chasing magic buttons. Hopefully you're with us, so you won't be doing that. We'll get rid of that for you. I don't really know where to start. Well, that's the newbie thing again, and that's not a problem because, courses and mentors will always teach you exactly how to start. It only becomes a problem if you buy into these magic button type things. I don't know how to drive traffic. Not a problem. Nearly every course out there will teach you how to drive traffic, and it's not difficult at all. I don't want to work hard. Well, not many people admit to that, but that's probably true for all of us. Now, I think about my own sort of daily routine, and I do work several hours in front of a laptop every day almost. I can take a day off when I want, but I do, I'm at the stage where I'm always constantly working on something. But for me, it's not like work, it's not the same as when I was back in the UK. I did a number of jobs in the UK. I run several of my own companies. I've worked in a brain rehabilitation ward, very many long hours, working as a psychotherapist and a counsellor. I've been a taxi driver. I've had my own taxi company for a while, or I had shares in it. I've worked as a postman, and like I said, I've run several businesses. In fact, one of my businesses, Zone to Zone Limited, which was a light haulage company, I worked 18-hour days sometimes on that. So working hard was, when I first started to come online, I was forced to look for something online because of other problems, illnesses, etc. But I wasn't initially looking for an easy way out, but I quickly recognised that actually this is a lot easier than what I've done in the past. So I don't want to work hard is actually in a lot of people's minds, but they don't realise it. I accept that some things work, but I want to find an easier route. Well, normally when someone thinks that way, it's because they've gone down the magic button route and they've had the information overload. Because they've started to believe that there probably is one of these magic formulas that will work. There is a push button system out there. They just haven't bought into the right ones. So they're on the wrong road. They have to get away from that feeling of that there is an easier way. Because this isn't really hard, guys. To make money online isn't really that difficult. It just does require some work. You have to treat it as a business. Now, all the above are barriers that are put down by yourself. They're not put down by anybody else. You've built them yourself. You're using them yourself. And why is it that we make excuses and place down these barriers? And it's fear. Most of the time, it is a fear of some kind. It's a fear of failure, or it's a fear of success. And that sounds weird, but it's really true, because deep in our psyches we have this little tiny area which just stops us from getting outside of our comfort zone. It doesn't want you to. It's the exact same reason that somebody can be working for 20 or 30 years or 10 years or whatever, a period of time, in a job that they don't really like and that they have to save up. They just get by with the money. They have to save up, every week or every month to put a bit aside to grab a 2-week holiday at some point during the year, often at a time they don't want it. And every day they come to work and they moan, but they still do it. They moan about their boss, they moan about the hours, they moan about their wages, but still they carry on doing it. And the reason they carry on doing it is fear. They don't want to step outside of that comfort zone, because this deep in our psyche that just protects us. It doesn't want us to move into that comfort zone. But believe me, that it's your subconscious is what I meant, the word I was trying to find. But deep in your subconscious, it's trying to prevent you from doing that. It sees it as a danger and it's there to protect you. So it stops you from doing it. It doesn't want you to get outside of that circle of comfort that everything's going to be the same. We don't like change. Human beings were sort of kind of bred to not like change. And that's what we have to get through. We have to step outside of it. And believe me, when you're hungry, when you're desperate, you become a far more powerful person. You become far more focused. You do far more. You take challenges and you try and work your way through them, because you're now facing your fears. And once you do that, once you step out of that comfort zone, you will never ever look back. You will just keep going forward, because now you're out on the wilderness. You're not on your own, as it happens. There's lots of us here to help and guide you, but you need to get out of that comfort zone. And most of those things we talked about, in fact, all of those things we talked about, are born from the fear of failure and fear of success. It's the fear of change. We don't like to see change. Failure makes us go back into ourselves, and people have said, we have to say to people, look, yeah, you were right, it doesn't work. We're frightened of that. We're frightened of those moments, so we don't take chances. Success is a weird one to say, but people are frightened of success because that changes things too. And deep inside your psyche, it's telling you, don't do that, because we don't want to change. Let's just keep it nice and comfortable. And it's important that you do understand that these barriers prevent you from moving forward. You have to crash through them to move on. And it's a very important part of your online journey. One that I hope you can see a little clearer now. I've mapped it out for you. Now in the next presentation, which is in the same week, Jason puts all this up for you. He'll be adding this one in the same week because it's just the follow-on from this presentation. That's where I'm going to reveal you what I think is the secret code. And so thanks very much for listening, and I'll see you on the next video.